Harry admitted that he's taken cocaine and mushrooms and cannabis, and you sort of have to wonder whether he was on any of those substances or all three when he agreed to just sell his soul to these publishers like this and divulge so much material that's, security risk, scandalous and downright tawdry.
Well, exactly right. I mean, some people are saying as well that the cannabis use may actually be playing a part here, because you may or may not know that when Peter Hitchens ever appears with me on a Monday, he's got a very strong line on marijuana, and he talks an awful lot about the crimes that are committed by people who are high on marijuana. I've actually got this from Sandy, one of the viewers of the show. I have a couple of friends whose sons took marijuana when they were young. Now they're older. They're delusional, paranoid shells of their former selves, like Prince Harry. Peter Hitchens speaks passionately about the adverse effects of this drug on young men. And you have to wonder, because he is clearly in a sort of, delicate state, I would say, in terms of his mental health, whether the drugs had an effect on him.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, I lean more to the idea that he's had far too much therapy,
yes,
and far too much sitting in a circle drinking ethically sourced chai, singing Kumbaya with Meghan, and that's the source of all this.
Yes,
because you got to ask, when did our soldier prince who killed these 25 become our soy prince? 2012 killing 25 Taliban. 2016 he meets Meghan Markle, and then 2019 he's scared of his brother for breaking his necklace and his dog bowl, and then calls not his wife but calls his therapist first and foremost. I mean, we've seen the complete emasculation, and for an army man to admit having his backside kicked by an RAF man, I think is the worst thing of all if you know anything about the army.
Well, I mean, the army and all the people who are in the army that I've spoken to are absolutely horrified that he has effectively betrayed all of what the military stands for by completely and utterly misrepresenting the way that they refer to the enemy, and completely misrepresenting the way that the British Army operates and the British military operates, because it does not operate like some kind of lawless band of maniacs. It conforms to the Geneva Convention. As somebody pointed out when I was listening to yesterday, if you end up in a field hospital in Afghanistan, you're more than likely as a British soldier to be lying next to a member of the Taliban who's also being fixed up by the British medical unit.
Yeah, precisely. Let alone the oath of loyalty they swear to defend crown and country.
Yes.
And the army take that very, very seriously, having royals as their colonels-in-chief. But also, how many soldiers do you know who actually brag about how many people they've killed?
Well, I've never met one.
Zero.
I've never met one.
Exactly. No. It's the one thing you do not do. Whether it's, chaps from World War II when we were young, we can remember, or whether it's from Iraq or Afghanistan. I lived in North America, whether it's Vietnam. No one ever speaks about it, Yes. And I don't know whether Harry did that willingly, but, I just get, when you give your life to a ghostwriter for a major publishing house, you lose control of your own narrative. And that's rather, I think, the great irony for Harry. Because you'll remember when the Queen died, Harry and Meghan were desperate to try to edit this book, and they were denied permission.
Yes.
I think because he was perhaps a bit worried about what had happened. And that's the irony here. Someone who's waged war on media intrusion for so long hasn't sold his story to a tabloid paper, but to a tabloid publisher. And even worse than that, is Harry's supposed to be this great champion of privacy and not having your private affairs aired in public, but he's driven a tank through his nearest and dearest's own privacy.
Well, and indeed his own. I mean, as Piers Morgan would say, he's invaded his own privacy. I now know that he's been circumcised, which is not something I ever wanted to know or would ever ask him.
But he's also told us that his brother is too. This is what I think is unforgivable. And the cringeworthy story of how he'd lost his virginity, and the ghostwriter clearly going to town with the old, royals and horses, stallions going out to graze.
Yeah, it was some kind of cut-rate Jilly Cooper novel, wasn't it?
And the problem here is, he's given up on Britain. Harry and Meghan have blamed... It's always everybody else's fault. Everything that's happened to them, it's the monarchy's fault. Yeah. It's the media's fault.
Yeah.
Then in the Netflix documentary, it's actually everyone who voted for Brexit. It's their fault too.
Yeah, I'm surprised actually they haven't blamed Brexit yet.
Well, no, they have. They blame Brexit. They blame the Brexit vote for being racist and actually causing the change of attitude towards Meghan. But my point is, they've given up on the UK. So we saw from that documentary and from this book, really, they're just trying to sell themselves in America. But what they haven't realised is that this is not going to play well in America. Because for Americans, the monarchy is something that rises above their own vulgar celebrity culture.
Yes.
It's elegant, it's sophisticated, it's cultured, it's refined, and in their way of saying it, it's classy.
Yes.
And there's nothing classy about this. It's tacky, it's gauche, and it's déclassé. And I think in the last 24 hours, many Americans will have lost a lot of respect for Harry. And you're actually beginning to see that in some of the daytime anchors and the way that they're responding to this book.
No, absolutely right. And also Jimmy Kimmel, who's one of the late night presenters, has put out a rather amusing, if not rather, shall we say, Mickey-taking video of the two princes reenacting the fight, and he's actually got the princes done up as Prince, you know, formerly known as, you know, playing guitar at the end and dressed in ridiculous outfits with big hair, having a fight. And so there's a kind of ludicrousness now that's going to be attached to the two princes, because they are coming across as ludicrous. And I don't think William deserves to, but Harry certainly does.
Well, actually, I've been generally surprised and heartened to look at a lot of the comments on Twitter and social media of people saying that their respect for Prince William has actually increased hugely. They're saying, you know, and as I said to someone yesterday, Prince Harry should be quite lucky. I think he got himself off quite lightly by having his necklace broken. In an earlier era, he would have been sent to the Tower of London for the things that he's been saying. But I think, you know, good for William in this regard.
Yes, no, I think that's absolutely right.